So virus origin, we have already studied this in the detail, that how the virus can be originated. We have seen different hypotheses which were very important. Some of the scientists were agreed on some of the hypotheses, and some of the scientists did not agree. We have already provided the evidences, we have already provided the reasons why they agreed and why they don't agree. So what is the origin of the cell? Whether it is different from the virus, the origin of the virus, whether it is the same origin, and similarly what is the origin of the life. We have already studied the different theories, different ideas about this origin. However, there is no any conclusion yet. So we will see the virus origin and the origin of the cell. What is the relationship in between them? Relationship between virus and other self-replicating organism is very important. The one of the most important of the relationship is that they have the similar cell constituents. Virus and other self-replicating organisms, if we compare them at the cellular level, they are about the same. There are very little differences exist in between them. Just like they are made up of RNA, some of them may be made up of DNA. Virus cell constituents are same. They also needed the proteins. They have their minimum machinery for their if they have the host machinery, they can replicate. Their minimum things are always there which are needed for the life. They have the viruses, so therefore there are the similarities and there are the differences in between them. Like the genes and plasmogenes, the relationship between the self-replicating organisms, just like the genes and the plasmogenes, we can just see that what are the differences and what are the similarities for their origin. Here in the host cell, we will see that the virus, there are two possibilities. One is the cytopathic effect and other is the persistence effect. Of course, virus can live in one generation in the host cell, or it can live just a little period of the time and then it will go out. Similarly, there are two kinds of the cycles, lytic cycle and the other cycle, or maybe it can have the persistent infection. It can remain there from generation to generation, and similar is the way in the bacteriophages. Virus can also take the genome and it can go out and it can take the genome of the host or some traces of the, not the genome I say, some of the gene or the one of the gene, and it can take the traces of the host and can, just like the bacteria, it can transmit that gene to the other organisms. So it can also give us the basis of the evolution in this way by transferring some of the genetic material from one of its host to the other host, which is confirmed in the kind of the bacteria. There are different processes we have already studied through which the virus can transfer the gene from one bacterium to the other bacterium, which may be transduction or transformation or the similar ways, just like the conjugation. So here in this diagram, you can see that the lytic infections of the epithelial cells is on this way, and the latent infection of the sensory neurons. Lytic infection means that the virus will just stay for a little period of time, or maybe for one generation, or maybe less than one generation, and it will be just kill lytic transcription and heterochromia. It will kill the cells of the host and it will go out just like this. However, the latent infection, latent means the pushida or khufia. So the latent infection of the sensory neurons here hidden, it will go and it will, in the latent infection can be persistent and it can go generation after generation. So hypothesis is always the hypothesis is there. Some of the viruses may have evolved from the RNAs and DNAs that have escaped from the genes of the larger organisms. There is the possibility for this, and we have also studied this as well as the escape theory in the origin of the viruses, that viruses may be evolved through the escape theory with this hypothesis. However, the adaptations are very important as far as the viruses are concerned. There are high mutation rates in the viruses. Of course, it depends on the specificity of the virus, which kind of virus is this. For example, the plant virus or the which virus, the double-stranded RNA virus, single-stranded RNA virus, double-stranded DNA or single-stranded DNA. The shape of the virus, the structure of the viruses are also depends on the mutations. However, in general speaking, the viruses have the high mutation rate, which is very important for them. They have very much adaptability to the environment, and that's why they are the successful organism as far as with the changing environment. According to the environmental conditions, viruses are changed and they are able to change very quickly. According to the availability of the host, again the mutation will be helping the viruses according to the availability of the host, and viruses can make changes in their own genome, and they are also capable of making the changing in the genome of the host, because they will take the role of the genome, and they can also transfer their own material. Some of the material are the traces. Debatable topic about the origin of the viruses. So still the origin of the viruses is still debatable after all these studies, that whether we have studied a lot of some of the theories, some of the ideas about the origin of the viruses, but there is no such conclusion is yet.